Hey guys, it's Casey. I'm back doing the Return to Ravnica set review, and we're gonna go over the red and the green cards today because I need to fit an entire day to just the multicolored card because it's Ravnica. Of course, there's going to be multicolored cards. We're gonna start off with the red cards, and we're gonna start with Annihilating Fire. Deals damage to a creature or player. If creatures dealt damage this way, it dies. It's exiled instead. This card, this is the first pick in limited formats like draft. Just removal is always good, and when it's 3 damage for 3 mana at instant speed, usually that's pretty good. And if it exiles it, that's for this set. I don't think it's going to be as relevant as it would have been in Innistrad, but for like Scavenge, it'd be a good card, especially. But removal you can target to creatures or players, it's always good. Next we have Ash Zealot. 2 mana 2/2 first strike haste. When a player casts a spell from graveyard, deals 3 damage to that player. This card is not going to be seen in limited formats because of the fact that it's a 2/2 for 2. The body's not big enough for and the only reason it's a rare is because of the second ability it comes with. And that's meant for standard play. So this is going to be a money. If you're going to be drafting, you want to save yourself some money. I would take this card for trade purposes. But other than that, I wouldn't take it in a draft that you're just looking to win, unless there's something like nothing good in the pack. Okay, we have the Bellows Lizard. Fire breathing for 2 mana, so it's a really bad fire breathing on a 1/1 for 1 mana. These cards are usually just like 23rd cards because you just need a creature. Card's not very good because you have to dump a lot of mana into it for just for it to trade, but it's gonna die by anything that it blocks it, even a token. Other than that, nothing special. Now we have Batterhorn of 5 mana, 4/3. So the body's okay. It's like Zombie Goliath, but not. But it also has the ability that you may destroy target creature, which is usually for red cards. Usually there's not a may. It's usually just you have to, like Manic Vendel. But this card's playable. I could see putting this card in my deck, even if their opponent doesn't have artifacts. Just a body that's okay. It trades with a lot of stuff. Oop, too far. Oops. Bloodfray Giant, 4 mana 4/3 with trample with unleash. This card's really good. I would definitely play a 4/3 or a 5/4 for 4 that has trample, because I wouldn't be blocking with it anyways. I would be attacking with it a lot. This card's a lot more aggressive than the usual ones. The only one I saw that was actually close to this power level was the 3 mana 3/4. And like all the Rakdos cards usually are overpowered when you unleash them, and when you don't, they're just overcosted. This one I would play even if it didn't have unleash in it because it's such a good creature. Usually bodies like this come at a higher cost. Chaos Imps, 6 mana 6/5 flying unleash, and it gets trample when it has a 1/1 counter on it. This card's definitely a first pick playable. Anything that flies that's big is good, and the fact that it's in red makes it better, which means that you can play removal. And the fact that it can become a 7/6 flyer trample for 6 mana means that it's a definite first pick. Like unless there's like some crazy removal in the 3rd pack that that is in your colors, and Chaos Imp, you're not playing Chaos Imps because you're not in red. That's the only reason I see passing this card. But yeah, this card I would definitely first pick no matter what. Dynacharge, target creature you control gets +2/+0, and basically it turns into a the red card from M13 that gives all your creatures +2/+0, Trumpet Blast. It turns into one of these. Not exciting. I could see playing this card. as a win condition if you have a bunch of token makers, like playing Naya, green, white, splash, red. Other than that, I'm not seeing it. Cobble Brute, 4 mana, 5/2. Not enough toughness for this creature to be playable. If it was a 4/3, I would definitely play it for 4 mana. And yeah, not much. Just vanilla creature. Electricary, pay 1, deals 1 damage to creature you don't control. Overload. This is basically a spark spray for 1 more. Or not spark spray. Oh man, I forgot the name of the card. But it's just a. It gets rid of tokens if you're worried about tokens. But I wouldn't play this card because of the fact that it only does 1 damage. And for 1 mana, and that's not enough for it to be playable. If I would sideboard this if they have a bunch of the put a 1/1 play they populate, I would play it against that type of deck, or the Rakdos Unleashed deck. Other than that, I wouldn't play this card. It looks good, but it's not. Explosive Impact, 6 damage, or 6 mana for a 5 damage to creature player instant speed. This card actually can be playable in this format because of the fact that it's so slow. This format is actually a lot slower than anything I played in a long time. Like the original Ravnica was as slow as this, and the Rise of Eldrazi. Like this one, you can actually it's almost playable. If it costs 5 mana to do like 4 damage, I would definitely play this card in instant speed. But yeah, I can see taking this card. Gorehouse Chainwalker, 2 mana 2/1 because of 3 mana 2 mana 3/2. This card's playable. It's not overpowered by any means. It's not gonna impact constructed, but this card I can see playing in the limited format. Yeah, I don't mind 3/2 for 3. The can't block thing usually doesn't matter when you're being really aggressive with your cards. Goblin Rally, put 4 1/1s into play for 5 mana. I wouldn't play this card because of the fact that it costs 5 mana for a sorcery, and the fact that it doesn't put bigger tokens into play. There's not a populate thing, and it's not a card I would play, even if I was that. I can't think of a deck that this would go into, honestly. Go for you. The beginning of your upkeep, target opponent reveals the top 3 cards of his library, then puts a creature from among them into the battlefield. Then puts the rest into his graveyard. You do the same with the top 3 cards. If 2 creatures are put into the battlefield this way, those creatures fight each other. So basically, this card can be a really good milling blowout card, or it can do absolutely nothing, or it could kill you. I would play this card because of the fact that it's so random that you don't if you don't get to really control what you put into play because you're trying to find a big fatty. And usually in red decks you don't have the big fatties. Usually you have smaller guys. But yeah, so it's too risky for me. Gutter Snipe, when you cast an instant sorcery, does 2 damage to each opponent. This card actually could see play because of the fact that it outraces you while you kill their creatures, and it's just it's a 2/2 for 3 mana, which is not underpowered, or it's not overpowered, but it's not also not underpowered. It's basically on par for red decks, and it's just a pretty good. You don't have to pay extra for the ability; it just happens. It's like this reminds me of Falconwrath Noble. You gain a life, they lose a life, and a creature dies. This card seems better than that one. I'm just gonna say it right now. The fact that it doesn't have flying is not really relevant because you didn't attack with Falconwrath Noble a lot, anyways. But yeah, so I probably would. This card's almost first pickable in my opinion. Minotaur Aggressor, 7 mana, 6/2, first strike haste. This card is good for the aggressive red decks, but those decks usually play like the 4 mana 5/1 with haste, and then, or like the 3/1s for the 1 that sacrifice at the end of the turn. This card just costs too much for the lack of ability, in my opinion. Lobber Crew, 3 mana for 0/4. The defender. Excuse me. Ow. Okay, Lobber Crew, it's a 0/4 defender for 3 mana. And it taps deal 1 damage to each opponent. And when you cast a multicolored spell, untap it. I wouldn't use this card unless you have a bunch of the unless you're Izzet and you have a bunch of the blue-red spells. But this card can just outrace. Can just it's like Goblin Fire Slinger, but it also has a big body and it can do it to each opponent for EDH formats, which I don't think you're playing this card for EDH. But it can also untap when you play a multiplayer spell, so that is kind of relevant. Just extra damage. And now we get to sorry, I keep skipping through. Mizian Mortar, 2 mana, deal 4 damage to target creature you don't control, then overload for 6 mana. This is a card I would not play unless you're absolutely sure you're playing red. But I would actually splash for the card, I just wouldn't overload it, because 4 damage for 2 mana is really good value. Especially in formats like this that are really slow. Where they like play their 7-drop and you just kill it for 2 mana and then play your 5-drop. But yeah, I'm really excited about this card. Generally see a lot of standard play. It's like basically a bonfire of the damned that doesn't have a miracle cost. Pursuit of Flight, 2 mana, give +2/+2, pay 1 blue, gets flying. This is probably the best enchantment of the guild cycle. Each one has their own different ability, like Rakdos and Izzet, Golgari, Azorius, etc., etc. This is the best one because it gives your creature an evasion and it gives it +2/+2. So I really like that card. Racecourse Fury, tap enchant land for 1 mana, target creature gets a haste until the end of turn. This card is not playable because of the fact that it's such a slow format that you're not going to want to give your creatures haste anyways, and it just gives your opponent a target to destroy land or something. Pyro Convergence, when you cast a multicolored spell, deals 2 damage to target creature or player. I don't think there's enough spells in the format for that card to work. It reminds me a lot of the Burning Vengeance, where you need like every flash card you see to play for it to work. It was a good deck when it worked, but also Burning Vengeance only costs 3 mana while all the other flashback spells you would play after that. This, however, costs 5 mana, and you'd probably play 2 multicolored spells and use some of the fodder. So this could be the next Burning Vengeance deck, or it could just be too costly. Just let me know. Splatter Thug, it's a 3/3 with First Strike for 3 mana. This is one of the better creatures that has Unleash on it. It beats that Ogre, it really does. This is a card I definitely would play. It's almost a... I actually might even first pick this card because of how powerful it is for the mana. A 3/3 First Strike that I don't care, it can't block. It's getting through for 3 damage at least once. And it's just really good value for the mana you invest into it. Streak Spasm, it's a wrath effect at instant speed, but it doesn't hit flyers. So basically, it's Magma Quake for double X. That doesn't hit you or Planeswalkers. This card I would take first pick because of the fact that it can also just target a single creature. But the fact that it doesn't hit flyers is kind of bothering me. So I don't know. It just depends. Like this is like one of the first. Like this is probably like a premium removal spell. But if they have a bunch of flyers, you just have to sideboard it out, unfortunately. But otherwise, it's a good card. Tenement Crasher. It's a 5/4 for 6 with haste. This card is it costs too much for not enough of the big show or the big effect. If it had an enter the battlefield effect and had haste, I would definitely play this card. But other than that, it's not good enough. Survey the Wreckage, destroy target land, put a 1/1 into play. Each color basically has its own 5 mana destroy target land, and that's mainly because there's enchantments for lands in this set that has its own cycle, and they just want to beat the black one, which is the Phyrexian Arena one, Underworld Connections. But yeah, this here is a sideboard card, but that's it. Costs too much in my opinion. Trader's Instinct, the reprint from Rise of Eldrazi, and this, I'm sure something further on because I can't remember. Gets take control of target creature. It takes the active treason, but it also gives it +2/+0. Nothing special. It's not instant speed, so it can't be a combat trick. Other than that, it's not much. Okay. Utvara Hellkite. Utvara. 8 mana, 6/6 flying. That's okay. It's a flyer that has the ability to literally make you to learn the multiplication tables of 2s forever. Because you attack with one dragon, you get a 6/6. You attack with both dragons, you get 2 6/6. You attack with all 4, you get 8. You have 8 now. And by the time it's that, you already won. And 6/6, the only problem is it's a multicolored, so it dives to ultimate price, but not everyone's going to have that card because it's uncommon. And there's not really a lot of removal spells that will kill a 6/6. So yeah, this card is a definite play, definite first pick, because the format's slow enough. And it's just a pretty decent card also. That Vayashino Racketeer, it's a battlefield to make discard a card. If you do draw a card, basically it's a looter. For 3 mana 2/1, you're playing this for the effect instead of the actual creature. That's the only reason you play this card. And then for the last of the red cards, Vandal Blast, pay 1 mana to destroy target creature you don't control. And then overload 5, destroy all the artifacts you don't control. This card's more going to be an EDH than anything else. I haven't seen a lot of the artifacts, mainly the key runes are the problem, and just use that to get rid of their free creature. Okay, now we're going to go into the green cards, and we have Aerial Predation, which is destroy target creature with flying, you gain 2 life. This is basically a plummet, but for 1 extra mana you gain 2 life, which I'm okay with paying 2 extra mana for. And it's just a really good, it's a good sideboard card in standard because of Delver and the other big flyer creatures that are going to be running on standard now. Okay, now we have Archweaver, which is basically the green Archangel, or Archangel. I forgot how to say angel. The reach trample 5/5, while the Archangel was a 5/5 flying vigilance. This one's actually better than Archangel because of the format has less removal, but at 5 it's vulnerable to a little bit more than 6, and at 4 basically dies to everything. But this card's really good. It's a big fatty I like. Axebane Stag, a 7 mana 6/7 that has no abilities. This card I wouldn't play because of the fact that it's a 6/7 for 7, and it doesn't have an ability whatsoever. That's the only reason I wouldn't play this card. I would take it if it's like a 23rd card, or you just don't have enough removal to beat it. Other than that, it's not that great. I'm not impressed by it, but it's just a big guy. This is like my favorite green card. I don't know why it is, but it just is, because it reminds me of Overgrown Battlement from Rise of Eldrazi, and that card was really just insane. And this is basically the same thing, except it costs 1 more mana, but it has 1 more toughness, if I remember correctly. But just the Defender deck can be really good if you're playing a bunch. If you have like 2 of these guys, then you have 4 mana for free. That's really good. Like if you just pick up multiples of these, then you're just set for mana. You can splash whatever you want to. Brush Strider, 3 mana, a 2 mana 3/1 with Vigilance. The effect that it has 1 toughness. If it was a 2/2 for 2 that had Vigilance, then it'd be a bear with Vigilance, and I would probably play the card because of the fact of all the Unleashed creatures that are early only have have at the most 2 toughness with the Unleashed thing. So that way they can't attack you without losing their guy, and you get free damage in with this card. But either way, I don't like this card. I actually would probably play this card against Recto Sec. I wouldn't play it all the time, but this is probably like a 5th pick creature, or maybe I just sided in against them. This card's pretty good. I'm excited about it. Centaur's Herald, 1 mana 0/1 that it doesn't do anything until you sack it off and get a 3/3. The only reason you play this card is for the populate effect, and there's a 2 mana spell that does the exact same thing that doesn't sacrifice a creature. So yeah, this card's not good. Dead Bridge Goliath. It's a 5 mana or 4 mana 5/5, which is huge. That has an upside, like a 5 mana 4 or a 4 mana 5/5 wasn't enough already. You can pay 6 to give a target creature +5/+5 permanently. That's ridiculous for them to make this card. Good thing it doesn't have Trample. If it had Trample, it would be mythic rare and be played in every green deck possible. But yeah, it's definitely a first pick card. Of course, the Might, until your turn, target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control and gains Trample. So it's a really bad Might of the Masses because it costs 4 mana and Might of the Masses costs 1. It had the exact same effect. Just didn't give it Trample. But this card, I'm not excited about it. It's a pump spell that might save your guy. Other than that, not present. When a creature you control dies, put X normal counters on target creature you control, where X is the power of that creature that died. This card, I'm iffy about it. It might be good because of the slowness of the format. You might be able to play this card, and it just sits there. Then all your guys get huge, and they can't deal with them. Because it stacks on itself. You just kill the creature that died, and then you give all the 1/1 counters and its power, additional to that, to another creature, and then it dies, and then another one gets the power. Kill this card. I'm still iffy on it. I would try it out, but I wouldn't hedge my bet on it and like say it's a really good card. The next is a Drudge Beetle. Drudge, I think. I'm sure you can make fun of me for pronouncing things wrong. Drudge Beetle. It's a 2 mana 2/2 that scatters for 6. This having no abilities other than the scavenge makes it worse than a bear, or makes it a bear. And then the scavenge for 6 costs way too much for the upside of +2/+2. If it kind of scavenge for 4, I might keep playing it just for value and trading. Other than that, not that good of a card. Gatekeeper Vine, the 0/2 defender that when you enter the battlefield, you may search your land for a basic land or a gate card, reveal it, put your hand. So it doesn't ramp you, and also but it helps you fix your mana. And if it gets you the gate, then this extra value. I would not slam these like I did Farseeks because of the fact it doesn't enter the battlefield tapped. But it's just a 0/2 defender, so I would play it if I had those other add mana to their mana pool creatures. But it's okay. It's not something bad at all, but it's just I wish it was in the battlefield. Druid's Deliverance, 2 mana, prevent. It's a fog that populates. I don't know about you, but I'm okay with paying 1 mana to get a 3/3 Centaur token, which you're going to see a lot in the green white decks. With a fog that only costs 2 mana, so prevent all damage, and you get a 3/3. It's dealt damage that will be dealt to you, not your creatures, or common damage. So you basically they attack you all out and alpha strike you. You do the blocks that you're supposed to do, and then they then you play this card, you get another 3/3, and you take no damage, and they lose their guys. So this card's a really good combat trick. Other than that, it's not that special. Giant Growth, old reprint. Sorry. Old reprint, 1 minute for 3/3. This is the pump spell that will beat the other one, the +1/+1 and trample for each creature you control. This card is way better because of the mana efficiency with it. You turn a 1/1 into a 4/4 and trade with a 5 mana creature. For literally just 2 mana, you can kill a 5/5. Or kill a 5 mana creature. That makes this card really good, and it throws off combat math, and also you can just do it to push 3 more damage into and quicken their clock. So yeah, this card is definitely on my pick list. Gobbling Ooze, pay 1 green, sacrifice another creature, put a 1/1 counter on Gobbling Ooze. I like this card. If it's in the green-black Golgari deck, that will thrive off of Scavenge. But in any other deck, it's not. But as a general rule of thumb, if you have to pay mana and also lose a guy for a extra power on the board, if the guy you sacked isn't at least a 1/1, then the card's not good, and this is just a bad. And there's no like synergy with it, then it's just not a good card to play. If you had a Corpse Jack Menace, I could see playing it, and you're like sacked a Scavenge creature, then sure. But other than that, nah, not that good. Forest Color Chant. This is a really awesome card because it gives you a perfect target to for all your popular effects. It gives you a 4/4 and then gives you another 4/4. Basically, this is what this card does. Good thing it's not instant speed, because that card would be insane. It's like, oh look, on your turn I will make a power. And it's just a really good card. It's not, and because the format is slow enough to play these 6, 7, and 8 mana spells, you can play this card and not be punished for it, and have 2 big fatty blockers that will just chump on. That could just block or attack all day. It's just a really good card. Yep. Okay, we have Golgari Decoy. It's basically the shit. I pronounced the name wrong. It's from Kamigawa. It's 4 mana, 2/1 that attacks all creatures able to block do so, and it also has the channel ability. But this card's way better because you get the effect of attacking and they all block that one guy, and then you get to give your +1 counters to something that lived. So this card's really good. It's basically you can win the game with it. Okay, we have Corrosda Monitor. The 3/3 for 4 with trample. Oops. Sorry, I had a technical difficulty. And that card's actually pretty good. 4 mana, 3/3 with trample. That's a pretty good creature. Scavenge for 7, just give it an extra bonus. So yeah, I would see playing this creature. I can play this creature a lot. Okay, Mana Bloom. It's a. This card is interesting because of the fact that you get to reuse this ability. But the only reason you would use this card is if you want to get 1 extra mana a turn. Because you can only do it once a turn. And it's nice, but it's not something I would do. It's something that teaches you. It's a teacher card that says you can ramp, but it's not reliable because you only get to do it once a turn. And when you run out of counters, you have to do it all over again you skip your next turn to do it for you to get 1 extra mana a turn. And as if they don't blow it up. Okay. So I don't like this card, to be honest. Next is a Rubbleback Rhino, which is a 3/4 with hexproof. I enjoy hexproof. I like it in general because it's just a guaranteed creature. You play an enchantment on it, it's gonna live. This is like one of the few creatures I would actually play, and then with an enchantment, and then like they will actually make me play it. But for 5 mana 3/4, if it was a 4/4, it'd probably be really good. Be better than Groot's Primal Hot Beast. As for standard, this card is not going to see play like they usually do, like they usually don't. And it's just, but it's a good creature in limited. Okay, Oak Street Innkeeper. As long as it's not your turn, tap creatures you control have hexproof. Alright, that's okay. It's not good. It's not good. I'm sorry. It's something that I wouldn't even play even if I want to be the most aggressive deck possible. Green-white, just small dudes and tokens, because of the fact that they could do what they were going to do anyways and just rat your field, and you really lose everything still. It's just not that. It's not good enough. Stop doing that. Hang on. Savage Surge. Target creature gets +2/+2 until they turn. Untap that creature for 2 mana. That's an okay pump spell. Plus, it's a really good combat track. Like, you get to untap your biggest guy and they block, and they take a bunch of damage, or they lose their creature. And I'm okay with that. That's a pretty decent pump spell. Seek the Horizon. Pay 3 mana. Search for 3 basic land cards. For up to 3. Reveal them and put them into your hand. Shuffle your library. This card's meant to be splashing. This tells you to play 3 colors, but it costs 4 mana to do it, and it doesn't put one of them into play that Cultivate did. And Cultivate was really good, and also with Kamigawa's Reach. I forgot the name. I'll remember it later. From Kamigawa. But this card is not as good as the other ones. It helps you splash, but that's about it. Stone Fair Crocodile. Pay 3 mana for a 3/2, which is actually a pretty decent body, and then you pay black and 2 colorless, and it gets lifelink, so you are outracing your opponent. This card's pretty good. I wouldn't first pick it because of the fact that it costs 2 mana to do it, but it's a pretty good card nonetheless. Okay, Slime Molding. Pay X, put an X green creature token onto the battlefield. This is strictly worse than Worm Calling with Flashback, because of the fact that you could do it twice. This one you have to do it for the full value, or it's just not gonna work. And you have to play a lot of mana for this to work, and then they can just abrupt decay your entire turn away. So I don't like this card. Towering Inkdrick. Take 2/4 with Reach. That's a 4 mana creature. I would play it. It's a giant spider, essentially, that can block 3/3s. So I would play this card like I would play Giant Spider. I like it a lot. I enjoy giant spiders, and this is the same thing. Alright, so that's my opinion. Okay. Urban Burgeoning. Enchantment has untap during each other player's untap step for 1 green mana. If you had a bunch of instant speed sorcery spells, or instant speed removal spells, then you could possibly play this card if you had the correct mana to do so. But this is just a really bad card I would never play. World Spire Worm. Another big fatty. Cost 11 mana. It's a 15/15 with trample. When it dies, put 3 5/5s with trample into play, and when it is put into the graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it back into your library. So it's an Eldrazi. It's Eldrazi status, 11 mana for a huge fatty that has trample. And when it dies, it's basically Warp Coil Engine, but better. And yeah, you get to put it back in your library when you're done with it. So this card seems really good, but it's just so costly that I couldn't play it. While Beastmaster, last card of the video, when Beastmaster attacks, each other creature you control gets plus X, where X is Beastmaster's power. This is really good with the scavenge ability. You give this guy +2/+2 permanently. They attack. Each other creature you control gets +3/+3. That seems like a really good ability for a 3-mana creature, but you have to have the right deck to do it. But okay, that's my set review for all the colored spells. Tomorrow we're going to go over all the multicolored cards, plus the artifacts, plus the lands. Okay, it's Casey, and I'll see you guys later.